A Florida woman broke down in tears in court as she faced a serious charge after police say she made a threat over the phone to her insurance company.
Nature of the threats, we would also be asking for GPS with house arrest conditions to protect the community.
Her words echoed what sources tell us were found on the shell casings at the crime scene of last week's killing of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. 42-year-old Brianna Boston allegedly called Blue Cross Blue Shield to discuss a recently denied claim of hers and ended the recorded call by saying, "Delay, deny, depose. You people are next." Those words have gained traction after Thompson's killing. A book with a similar title has skyrocketed to an Amazon bestsellers list as people nationwide publicly express frustration with the insurance industry. Boston even told police she chose the words because they're in the news right now, adding, "Healthcare industries, quote, deserved karma from the world because they are evil," according to the court paperwork. Boston insists she wasn't a danger to anyone, and her attorney hasn't returned our calls.
Controversial arrest of a Florida woman accused of threatening her health insurance company. According to an affidavit, 42-year-old Brianna Boston called Blue Cross Blue Shield on Tuesday about recently denied medical insurance claims. Authorities say at the end of the call, the mother of three said, quote, "Delay, deny, depose. You people are next," close quote. Remember, CBS News confirmed the words delay, deny, and possibly depose were written on those shell casings and bullets found at the scene of the United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson's killing. The FBI was alerted about Boston's comments, and local police arrested her later that day. She is now charged with threats to conduct a mass shooting or an act of terrorism. Yesterday, Boston appeared in court where the judge set a very steep bail. Listen.
I do find that the bond of $100,000 is appropriate considering the status of our country at this point.
Boston says she doesn't have any guns, but the local police chief says you can't make threats like that in the current environment.
It hasn't even been more than 24 hours since I made my last video telling you guys that there would be copycats of Luigi out there, you know, threatening these insurance companies and trying to follow in his footsteps and being reprimanded for it, right? I called it. I didn't think it would happen this fast. I thought at least, you know, maybe a few weeks or a couple of months go by. I didn't think it'd be 24 hours later. I'm shooting a video about a copycat already, right? And like I told you guys in that video, your emotions will always do you in. And this woman let her emotions get the best of her. If you didn't watch that video that I just put out the other day about all the violent criminals in prison, why they're there, they're all there for one reason. Beyond their crime. It's because they let their emotions take over and control them and get the best of them. And as I keep telling you, that is how the devil controls you. That is how he gets you to do his bidding. And all these people in the comments of you know, the videos saying, "Oh, it's justified," and "Oh yeah, you know, I'm glad it happened," and saying things like that, forgetting that the CEO that they killed was a human being beyond his profession. You know, and you're talking like that. Believe me, you know, Satan's got you right where he wants you. He's got you right where he wants you. Emotional, angry, amped up, ready to do his bidding. And for this woman, who is 42 years old, there's just no excuse for this at her age. She's got 3 kids, man. 3 kids. Now mama's going to go to prison, right? They're saying that she could get 15 years in prison. Sorry. Jail's a country club compared to prison. For making the threat that she just made over the phone, right? Over the phone. She called her healthcare. She was like, "Hello," you know, and they denied her claim. It's just like, "No, you can't deny it, deny, disclaim, dispose," you know, whatever Luigi said. And then she doubled down and she said, "You guess what? You guys are next. You're next." And what happened? FBI were contacted. They picked her up, arrested her. Now she's in court. Now they're refusing to release her. She's got a $100,000 bond. She doesn't have no $100,000. She can't bond out. Who's going to take care of her kids? Because you know she's a single mom. It's always single moms. And now she's screwed, and she's in there in court crying, "Oh my God, what was I thinking?" You think she regrets what she said, what she did? Of course she does. I think she's already said she regrets it. But what was I thinking? Yeah, what were you thinking? You were thinking you weren't thinking. You were using your emotions. Again, can't say this enough. Your emotions will always do you in. Okay? And if you're being led by your emotions, I don't care how tough you think you are. I don't care how, jacked you are, how big you are, how much of a bully you are. If you're controlled by your emotions, you are one big pussy. Okay? If you cannot control your emotions, you are soft. You're a coward. Okay? Unless you're a toddler. Even then, you should start learning how to control your emotions. If I had a child, that would be my first order of business with raising him, is getting his emotions under control, letting him cry, letting him go through his terrible twos and all that. But I would want him to get control of his emotions, because I would not want my child to get into trouble when they get older, like I did. Why? Because my emotions, right? I was one of them, right? And so it's very sad what's happening to this lady, right? And again, right or wrong with the whole, the CEO of United Healthcare, who got basically executed for being a CEO by this kid who grew up in wealth. He grew up in a rich family. His parents own country clubs. They own 2 healthcare insurance companies themselves. And as I said in the previous video, he could have enacted some real change had he strategized, had he thought this out, maybe even open a competitor to United Healthcare, and it really used his anger to fuel some change and do something good. Instead, he just took the easy way out and went and shot this guy and killed him, right? Shot him from the back. Which to me is just yellow belly, man. It's just yellow belly, right? He didn't even have the guts to face him. And people are, calling him a hero. And, there's just so much to this case. And the thing about his, he had a, you got to understand, man, he had a back injury. He had pins in his back. Didn't you see the x-ray with the pins in his back? So he should go execute the CEO. Let's take this a step further. He was not even a client of United Healthcare. He wasn't even one of their customers, man. And he went and shot this guy. It's like, okay, the CEO did not deny you coverage because of your back. So why are they even talking about that? Why is the media even talking about that? It's because some of them are trying to look for reasons to justify what he did, which was just cold-blooded murder. Let's call it what it was, right? It's just cold-blooded murder. And I get, or I don't get, why people are, just cheering this on. But it's sad. It just makes me sad. It's really unfortunate, because you're kind of looking at the CEO guy as an object and not a person, as not a human being. And of course, people are like, oh, well, what about all the people he looked as objects that denied claims and they died? As I said, it's not like he owns United Healthcare. He's not a sole proprietor where he can make those kind of changes. And if you didn't watch my previous video, please go watch that, because I really cover this in detail on how big corporations work. The CEO he's kind of a puppet, really, because he cannot really enact any really massive change without going through the board of directors, without bringing this to the shareholders, without going through a vote. He can't really enact any serious change. And of course, if it affects their profits, because they're a company, they're going to say, no, we don't do that. Right? I use the example of Bill Gates in that, in my other video. But just like Bill Gates, we could use Jeff Bezos, right? Jeff Bezos, who owns Amazon. What if Jeff Bezos, people are crying about Amazon and saying it's too expensive? What if they said, Jeff Bezos, you better cut the prices of everything by 50% by Monday, or else you're gonna get it? He can't do that. When you're Jeff Bezos, you started Amazon, you own the company. Yeah, he started it, but he no longer has full control of it. Who does now? Shareholders, board of directors. Everybody's got to say. His other C-level execs, he can't just slash prices all across his website because he owns the thing, right? And if he does, he'll get fired, he'll get sued, right? You just can't do stuff like that when you're, when you're running a big company like that. It's like operating a big ship. You just can't make a quick left turn, right? If you got a little dinghy, a little boat, you could make a quick U-turn. But if you got, this big ship the size of Titanic, it's not so easy to do. So a lot of people out there who don't understand business think that like Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare, was, in his office, like literally with his golden pen denying claims. He's not even in charge of that part, right? There's a whole department that handles that he's probably not even aware of. And his job as CEO is to make profit, right? And the funny thing about this is I see a lot of politicians out there, and I'll get back to the woman who got arrested in a second, but the politicians out there, like the AOCs, the Elizabeth Warrens, who are like, oh, murder's not right, but, when you deny healthcare, it's understandable why people are upset. And it's like, wow, I can't even believe these people who are elected politicians are saying stuff like that. I can understand like the common man, like you and me, but the elected officials are literally justifying without actually claiming they're justifying, but they're essentially undermining the rule of law. They're saying like, hey, you got denied a claim. I get it. Go ahead. Go out there. That's just so reckless. It's so irresponsible. If you're an elected official, if you're supposed to be the leader, this is why I say I don't like women in charge. I don't like seeing female leaders. For that matter, before you call me misogynist, men who are feminized, men who think like a woman. I don't like them in charge either because they think and say the same things, right? They think and say the same things. Like Justin Trudeau, he was just on the news recently, and I think it was yesterday. He was like, "I'm a proud feminist." I'm like, we need order in society. We need rule of law. And as an elected official, you cannot say things that undermine that. And these are the same people that when Trump was supposedly taking some files home from his office at the White House, nobody's above the law. Nobody's above the law. 240 years in prison. And it's like, oh, how come nobody's above the law now? Oh, you could just go out and murder people, execute them from behind? That's okay? Really? I mean, is that the world we're living in? It's like you don't get what your way, you don't get your way, you didn't get what you want, so let me go execute somebody. But that, unfortunately, is the environment that I would say most of the left and most of the deep state, not even just left and right? Most of the people who are part of the deep state, that's what they do, And when they talk about healthcare, what's funny is like so many of these, a lot of the people who are supporting what Luigi did are liberals, right? And I understand that, but they fail to see that big pharma and these healthcare, and the healthcare corporations, they're in bed with Big Daddy GOV, right? And not only that, but ever since the Affordable Care Act, aka Obamacare, they're trying to get everybody on that and eliminate competition. What happens when you eliminate competition? You create a monopoly where people have less choice. And the choice that they do have to go to, the prices, the premiums go through the roof, like in healthcare, right? What happened since the Affordable Healthcare Act? Did things get more affordable? No. People are just paying through the roof now, right? So to blame one CEO for all this is just asinine, right? That's just dumb. I mean, you're not looking at the big picture. Like, who is really behind this? I mean, if you want to, really get to the bottom of it and get to who's really pulling the strings, look no further than the people who are in charge. Not of the company. I'm talking about the people in charge everywhere. You know what I mean? So, and it's mostly the people who can make changes, right? It's mostly like these AOCs, these Elizabeth Warrens, who are constantly stoking the flames, like, oh, look at those rich people, eat the rich. Oh my God, go get them, and it's like, okay, do you include yourselves in that? Because you guys are all millionaires too. However, the difference between normal rich people and billionaires and millionaires out there who got rich because they created a business, a product, a service that was of value to people, where people were willing to exchange their money for their product or service. Those people got rich, you know, through business. You got rich through dirty politics, through corruption, right? And there's an old saying that maybe it was, I forget who said it, but they said like any politician who gets rich in politics is a crook, right? How do you become like Nancy Pelosi, where you're worth over $110 million and you're one of the best stock pickers on the planet? I mean, you know, and so yeah, it really stuns me how people like rail against like, you know, one CEO, when all you have to do is look at these same politicians who are stoking the flames against the rich, who are rich themselves, and telling you not to get rich, that we need socialism. It's just the hypocrisy is mind-bending. It's like, dude, can you not see that the people who are feeding you this gossip and feeding you these lies are the ones who are creating these problems, creating the over-regulation and all these mandates in the healthcare insurance industry that's causing all of these premiums to skyrocket, the prices of, you know, medications and everything else to go through the roof? Why don't they ever speak out against them? It's crazy to me, right? It's like whenever I see comments about people saying like, oh, corporate greed. And it's like, how come they never talk about government greed? You know, in 2023 alone, we sent $100 billion of your money, my money, to Ukraine. 100 billion. Why wouldn't they use that money to help with people's health insurance? How come nobody is upset about that? Isn't that funny? And just the other day, Biden signed something, another approval to Ukraine to send them another $50 billion of your money, mine. Right? Why? Okay, why not use that money for something good here, right? All the people crying about healthcare, you could really lower the cost of that $150 billion you're sending over there. Nobody ever calls them out. Instead, they go after this one CEO, right? And, you know, again, it's just laughable to me, right? But I don't like to see people, you know, based on how the media paints them, right? They're still a person, right? They're still a person, and, you know, you have to just see beyond that stuff, man. I mean, when I see these commenters, and some of them, probably a lot of them, claim that they're Christians themselves, but when they say things like, you know, good for him, he deserved it, and all this, it's like, okay, where is your, you know, humanity? Where is your, you know, empathy? Yet these people will expect empathy, forgiveness, humanity for them if they're in some tough jam or some tough spot, you know, because ultimately you'll be judged by God. You know, God will judge you. And you'll say, Father, please forgive me, for I have sinned. You know, I wasn't the perfect person. I made a lot of mistakes. And then he'll say, why should I forgive you? Were you forgiving? Did you show empathy? Oh, please, Father, show me empathy. Did you show empathy? You know, so yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we're all just human beings, man. You know, and it's sad to me. It's just sad that what's going on. But this woman, sorry to go on this diatribe, but this woman is in a lot of trouble right now for really making some threats over the phone. Okay, she's making some threats over the phone, and they're not effing around on this, guys. I'm telling you, man. And I said this the other day, that they will go after anybody and anybody right now that does anything like this, just to make an example, because they don't want this to become a trend where people are just offing CEOs, right? And it's just funny to me, because the same people who are trying to not create that environment are creating that environment by getting on the news like the Elizabeth Warren or the AOCs of the world and telling people like, yeah, I did justify murder, but, you know, when people denied their claims, you know, yeah, you are justifying murder then. You are. Unbelievable. Okay, it's just a lack of self-awareness. you know, that a lot of these malignant narcissists have. I was just watching this interview yesterday with Neil deGrasse Tyson, and I think he might have been on PBD or Bill Maher or something like that. But anyway, he asked Neil deGrasse Tyson, he was like, so do you believe in the afterlife? Do you believe in a higher power? And he just said, no. And then, so I think it was Bill Maher. He goes, okay, so you're an atheist. No, I'm not an atheist. I just don't believe in a higher power. So you're an atheist, dude. What do you call yourself, you know? But I mean, it's just that lack of, like, dude, come on, man. Just stop gaslighting people. Just stop gaslighting. So yeah, and you're gonna see more copycats come out, and they themselves will also get themselves in a whole lot of trouble. And this woman, you know, she looks harmless. I mean, she's 42 years old. She has 3 kids. I think she did get carried away. And the punishment is pretty harsh, man. I mean, it's $100 grand, and she's looking at 15 years in prison for a phone call, you know. But right now is not the time to be doing that because of what just happened, you know. And I just don't want to see anybody else get in trouble for something dumb like that, you know, and throw your life away. So, like this kid did. This kid threw his life away, the 26-year-old. You know, some people, you know, a lot of people think that he was doing this, you know, because he cared about people's health care. And it's like, no, most times when somebody does something like this, it's for their own self-interest, out of their own, you know, for their own selfish reasons. And, you know, him growing up with the abundance and the level of wealth that his parents have. Some people estimate his parents were worth anywhere from $50 to $100 million. You know, grew up in a mansion practically. Probably had a nice gigantic room with every toy, video game you can think of. Now, he's gonna have to adjust to a very tiny cell, right? Living with another dude who's probably going to also be a violent criminal. And he is gonna spend his life there. You know, and you know, you see these photos of this dude who's basically 26 years old, you know, again, traveling the world. He's like having fun in Bali. He's like backpacking in, you know, Asia. He's just all over the place, right? Living in San Francisco, you know, he's just living it up, enjoying life. And there's none of that now, right? You're going to be spending life in your prison cell. There's no more trips to Bali. There's no more, you know, fine dining with your parents. There's no more country clubs in your future. You know, just threw it all away. Just threw it all away. And I think that's what's most unfortunate here. That's what makes me most sad, is that he had a lot of potential, right? Smart kid. And, well, he's not really a kid. He's 26. Smart guy. But let his emotions get the best of him. Just like this woman did. And now she's in trouble, and it's not going to end here, sadly enough. You'll see more of these people come out, you know, whether it's just verbal threats or actual physical threats, and they're going to be paraded on television, you know, in the court of public opinion, and made out to be, you know, the most worst people on the planet, so that, you know, and they're going to get excessive jail sentences just because of what's happening right now. Right? So now's not the time to F around and find out, because they will make an example of you. You know, and if you have a family, if you have kids, I mean, if you have anything that you value, you have to ask yourself, is it really worth throwing it all away? For what? You know, because you let your emotions get the best of you. You know, and not only that, like I mean, that's the whole thing now. Like, they're trying to amp people up about, oh, you were denied a healthcare claim, you're denied this. You know, nobody said life was easy. Yeah. And this is why I say I don't even participate with the healthcare industry and denied claims and all that. I just pay out of pocket because I just don't want to deal with it. Right? People tell me get pet insurance for, like, you know, like my dogs, right? Like Gizmo or Cash, you know, Cash had thousands of dollars in vet bills. They're like, oh, you should get pet insurance. And I'm like, no, I'll just pay out of pocket. I don't want to deal with it, you know, because there's a lot of fine print in these insurance policies that, oh, if you weren't feeding him this kind of food, we're not going to cover you. Or, oh, if you weren't taking him in on exactly this day or getting these vaccines, we're not going to cover you, whatever. So I'm like, I'm just going to pay out of pocket because I just want the freedom to go. Oh, and then they limit you to what like doctors or what vets you can go to. And I'm like, I don't want to be limited. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to be looking at paperwork when there's an emergency. I want to be focused on my animal or myself. You know, when there's an emergency, I don't want to be looking at the fine print. I just want to whip out my credit card. You go here, fix me. Or here, help my dogs. Simple as that, right? Yeah, I pay more. You know, and that's the nature of the beast, right? It ain't cheap, but that also inspires me to work harder. That also inspires me to make more content, to deliver better content, you know, to be better, to be stronger, to eat healthier, to be more fit, to not stuff my face with junk food or take drugs or drink or smoke, none of which I do, right? Because I take accountability for my own choices, you know. And a lot of people who are being denied claims, they act as if like, you know, it's, I mean, it gives them a license to act out, you know, and that's the environment we've created is basically telling people that, you know, or encouraging people, raising people to not understand the word no. And I think that's the biggest thing I see with kids today is a lot of these kids are not being told no. They don't understand that reality will often tell you no, you know, and it's just how you handle that, what you do about it. And yeah, and you know I'm not getting any younger, so that's why I keep working, because in case I do have some big medical expense in the future, I want to have the money put away to take care of that, you know, and not have to rely on United or Blue Shield or anything like that, and them denying my claims because I didn't carry insurance for the first 50 years of my life, which I didn't, you know, besides my being under my parents when I was like a kid. But like I said, I just stay away from bad stuff. I try to live a clean, healthy lifestyle. I try to be happy, get good sleep, lots of sleep, drink lots of liquids, and, you know, stay fit. I mean, that's really what you can do. But I don't like this, you know, new thought processes that are being encouraged among everybody out there, that you're a victim and you have a right to, you know, just go out and, you know, take people out because you were denied this or you were denied that. That does not make for a peaceful society. That makes for anarchy, right? A very dangerous and unsafe society where people, if they don't like what you said, if they don't like, you know, if they can't be told no, they will resort to violence or vigilantism, like what we're seeing here. And it's just, again, it's not the kind of world I want to live in, especially as a man of faith. I think we need to look at each other as human beings and be responsible and, you know, and do the right thing, right? I mean, people look at me as, you know, you guys look at me, some of you, as a big brother or a father figure. And I do have a little brother and a little sister and little nephews and nieces that look up to me. And, you know, I can't be acting like I was when I was 15 or 16, being crazy and getting into trouble, right? It's like I have to lead. I have to set an example myself for not only, you know, my family, but for myself too. Because I want to be able to sleep at night like, hey, I did the right thing. I feel good about this, you know. I know God's looking down, like, you know, sometimes I screw up. I'm a sinner, I'm a fornicator, you know, and I'm like, you know, I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to be better, you know, and so scary times, man. But unfortunately, yeah, this woman's in a lot of trouble right now, and I don't think she's not gonna be the first, and she's not gonna be the last, right? Or yeah, there are gonna be more, basically, more to come along. But anyway, drop your comments below. I'll see you in the next one.